A hidden letter shattered Thanksgiving in Rockland, Maine, exposing a family secret. Eldrick Harper, retired fisherman, stood stunned, the scent of lobster and snow in the air. The letter revealed a choice that could destroy his family bonds. Unlike vengeful betrayals, forgiveness offers hope here. Will this secret tear them apart or heal old wounds? Emotional family stories unfold, sparking empathy. What secrets have you faced? Join us for this family drama story. I stand in the attic of the Harper family home, the air thick with dust and the faint tang of sea salt. It's Thanksgiving Eve 2024, and Rockland, Maine hums below its harbor, twinkling with early holiday lights. The floorboards creak under my boots, each step stirring memories of my parents, Amos and Lyora, gone now 3 years. I'm Eldrick Harper, 55, a fisherman with hands rough as the nets. I haul searching for something, maybe answers in this clutter of old trunks and faded photos. The attic feels like a tomb, holding secrets I've avoided too long. I nudge a crate aside, and a leather-bound book tumbles out, spilling papers. My heart skips as I spot Ma's handwriting on a yellowed envelope tucked like a secret beneath the pile. Eldrick, it reads her cursive sharp, despite the years. I hesitate, fingers grazing the seal, the weight of her absence pressing my chest. Why hide this? I tear it open, and the letter unfolds, crisp as if written yesterday. My dearest Eldrick, it begins, "There's something about the business you need to know." The words blur, something about the lobster business, Amos's choice. Thane's name. My brother. A cold shock grips me like plunging into the November sea. Did Ma and Pa cut me out? The thought stabs raw and sharp. I clutch the letter, my breath shallow, the attic closing in. Outside, a harbor breeze rattles the window, carrying the clink of lobster traps stacked by the dock. I picture Thane, always the steady one, running the business while I chased tides. Did they think I wasn't enough? The loneliness I've carried since their deaths surges a wave I can't outrun. I'm alone up here, just me and this letter, its truth dangling like bait. I mutter, "Why hide this, Ma?" My voice echoes unanswered. I stuff the letter into my jacket, heart pounding, and head for the stairs. The attic trapdoor groans as I descend, each step heavier than the last. I've got to talk to Thane. But doubt gnaws, will he even listen? My phone buzzes in my pocket, a reminder of the world I barely navigate. I fumble trying to text Mara, my niece, but the screen locks, mocking me. Damn thing. Technology's another wall between me and them, like the years I spent at sea. The house below glows with Thanksgiving warmth. Red and green lights frame the windows, a wreath hangs on the door. But up here it's just shadows and secrets. I pause, gripping the letter, its edges biting my palm. "What did you hide, Ma?" The question burns a hook in my gut. I'm not ready for tomorrow's dinner, for Thane's smug grin or Mara's hopeful eyes, but I can't stay here frozen in the past. I step into the hall, the letter a weight I can't shake, knowing it's only the start. What did Ma hide? I ask myself again, the words a silent vow. I'll find out, even if it tears us apart. The harbor's hum fades, replaced by my own pulse, loud as a storm. This letter's a key, but to what truth or ruin I don't know yet, but I'm diving in. I sit at the Harper dining room table, the warmth of Thanksgiving 2024, wrapping around me like a heavy coat. Rockland's harbor glints through the window, its water catching the flicker of red and green lights strung along the shore. The scent of roasted turkey and cranberry sauce fills the air, mingling with the faint brine of the sea. My brother Thane, 50, sits across from me. his jaw set, eyes bright with that old confidence. Mara, his daughter, 25, passes a bowl of mashed potatoes, her smile soft but strained. The table's set for family, but I feel like a stranger in my own home. I'm Eldrick Harper, 55, a fisherman who's drifted too far from this table. And tonight, Lyora's letter burns in my pocket, its words, Thane's name, the business choking me. The chatter rises, forks clinking against plates. Thane leans back, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "Business is solid," he says, voice loud, like he's addressing a crowd. "Lobster prices are up, and we're expanding the dock next spring." His grin cuts me sharp as a gutting knife. I grip my fork knuckles white. While Ma's letter hints at secrets, Mara glances at me, her eyes nervous like she senses the storm brewing. I want to call Thane out, demand what he knows, but the words stick. Instead, I snap. "Always the golden sun, huh? Running Pa's empire." The room quiets, forks, pausing mid-air. Thane's grin fades. "What's that supposed to mean, Eldrick?" His tone's cold now, a challenge. Mara sets the potatoes down, her hands trembling. "Uncle Eldrick, please," she says, voice soft. "Let's just enjoy dinner." But I can't. The letter's weight, the years of being the son who left the one who wasn't enough, it's all too much. "Enjoy?" I scoff, glaring at Thane. "Hard to when you're parading your success like I don't exist." My voice cracks, the hurt spilling out. "They chose you, Thane." "Why?" The thought twists, feeding that old wound I'm not good enough never was. Mara reaches for my hand, but I pull back my chair, scraping the floor. Thane leans forward, eyes narrowing. "You left, Eldrick, chased your boats while I kept this family afloat." His words hit like a slap, and I'm on my feet, heart pounding. Afloat, I spit. With what secrets, the letters in my fist, now crumpled, but I don't pull it out, not yet. Mara's eyes widen, darting to Thane, and for a split second I catch her fear like she knows something I don't. What's she hiding? I storm to the window, the harbor's calm, mocking my rage. My phone buzzes in my pocket, and I fumble trying to check it, probably another notification I can't open. The screen's a blur, buttons useless in my calloused hands. Damn technology. It's another reminder I don't fit here, not in this world of apps and updates, not in this family. I turn back. Thane's staring Mara's, pleading with her eyes, and the table feels like a battlefield. Is Thane hiding something? Or is it all in Ma's letter? I don't know, but I'm drowning in doubt. I sit back down, the silence heavy. Mara tries again, passing the stuffing. "We're family," she says, voice breaking. That's what matters. But her words don't reach me. I'm stuck comparing myself to Thane, his polished boots, his steady hand on the business, while I'm just the fisherman who drifted away. The harbor hums outside a Thanksgiving bonfire, glowing in the distance, but I'm cold inside alone at this table full of people. Is Thane hiding something? The question festers a hook I can't shake. I'll eat this meal, but tomorrow I'm getting answers, even if it means tearing open old wounds. I stand on the snowy porch of the Harper home the night after Thanksgiving dinner, my breath fogging in the cold Maine air. It's late 2024, and Rockland's harbor lies quiet, its waves lapping softly lit by the distant glow of a Thanksgiving bonfire in town. The house behind me hums with the aftermath of our tense meal plates clinking Mara's soft laugh. But out here, it's just me, Eldrick Harper, 55, a fisherman who's drifted too far from family. Leora's letter, still crumpled in my jacket, weighs heavy, its hint of Thane's inheritance stoking my suspicion. I lean against the railing, the wood icy under my hands, trying to shake the feeling that I'm an outsider in my own blood. A murmur from the open kitchen window stops me cold. Mara's voice, low and urgent, drifts out. "Dad, we can't hide the loans much longer. Loans. My heart kicks suspicion, flaring like a struck match. I edge closer, silent, the snow muffling my steps. Thane's voice cuts through sharp. Mara, keep it quiet. We'll manage. I freeze, ear to the window, the harbor's gulls crying in the distance. What loans? The letter's words flash, Thane's name, the business. Is he sinking Pa's legacy and lying about it? The loneliness I've carried, that sense of being left behind, sharpens. I'm out here in the dark while they whisper secrets inside. I push the door open, the hinge creaking, and step into the kitchen. Mara jumps, her eyes wide, a dish towel twisting in her hands. Thane turns, his face a mask, but I see the flicker of worry. What loans, I ask, voice low, each word a stone. Mara glances at Thane, her lips parting, but no sound comes. Thane crosses his arms, jaw tight. Eavesdropping. Eldrick. That's low even for you. His deflection stings, but I don't back down. Answer me, Thane. What are you hiding about the business? My hand brushes the letter in my pocket, but I hold back. It's not time yet. Mara steps between us, her voice shaky. It's not what you think, Uncle Eldrick. But her eyes dart away, and I'm not buying it. What's she covering for? The kitchen's warm, the scent of leftover turkey lingering, but the air's thick with distrust. I flash back to years ago, a memory sharp as a blade. I skipped a family meeting, choosing the sea over Amos's pleas to join the business. His disappointed sigh echoes in my mind, a reminder of how I pulled away. Did that push them to Thane? The guilt mixes with my anger, a bitter tide. I turn to leave, boots heavy on the floor. We're not done, I say, glancing back at Thane. He doesn't move, but Mara's eyes follow me, pleading. Outside, the bonfire's glow fades, and I'm alone again. The harbor's hum, my only company. My phone buzzes, another notification I can't open. I try swiping, but the screen's a mystery like this family. Damn thing. Technology's just another gap, widening the distance between me and them. What's Thane covering up? The question claws, and I know I won't sleep tonight, not with secrets piling like snow. I look back at the house, its windows warm against the night. Mara's silhouette moves in the kitchen. Thane's shadow beside her. They're in this together, but I'm out here chasing truths they won't share. The letter's my only lead, and I'll follow it, even if it means facing what I've lost. I trudge down to the Rockland Harbor dock at dawn, the morning after Thanksgiving 2020. My boots crunching on fresh snow. The air's sharp with sea salt, and the clink of lobster traps echoes their buoys bobbing in the icy waves. Red and white. Thanksgiving flags flap along the pier, a cheery mask for the storm in my chest. I'm Eldrick Harper, 55, a fisherman who's hauled nets but never truths, and Lyora's letter, Thane's name scrawled as the business air burns a hole in my pocket. Last night's whispers of loans, Mara's nervous eyes, Thane's deflection. They're all fuel, and I'm ready to ignite. I spot Thane by the traps, his coat dusted with snow, checking ropes like nothing's wrong. My blood boils. I march over the dock, slick underfoot, and plant myself in front of him. Thane, I growl, voice low but steady. We need to talk. He straightens eyes, narrowing, the harbor's gulls screeching overhead. What now, Eldrick? He says, tossing a rope aside. The casual tone's a spark to my kindling. The business, I snap, stepping closer. Ma's letter says you got it all. And now loans, you're sinking Pa's legacy and lying to my face, my words echo, drawing a glance from a passing fisherman. Thane's jaw tightens, but he doesn't flinch. You're out of line, he says, voice cold. You left Eldrick. I stayed. This is my burden, not yours burden. The word's a knife twisting the old wound, Ma and Pa choosing him, never me. Anger surges hot and blind. You stole my legacy, I yell, shoving a trap. It clatters ropes tangling, and Mara, approaching with a thermos, gasps her eyes wide. Uncle Eldrick, stop, she cries, but I'm too far gone. Thane steps forward, fists clenched. You left us, he roars. Chased your damn boats while I scraped to keep us afloat. His truth lands like a blow, and for a moment I'm back on that dock years ago. Amos's voice pleading. Stay, son. I chose the sea, and they chose Thane. Did I push them away? My hands shake, the letter crumpling in my pocket. I want to pull it out, shove it in his face. But Mara's there, her thermos, forgotten tears brimming. Please, she whispers, don't do this. The harbor's quiet, now the flags limp in the still air, and I feel the weight of eyes, dock, workers, neighbors, all watching our family unravel. My anger ebbs, replaced by a hollow ache. What am I doing? I step back, boots scraping the traps, a jumbled mess between us. Thane's chest heaves, his eyes hard but pained. Mara's voice breaks the silence. Dad, tell him about the loans. Thane glares at her, then me, and I catch a flicker, guilt, maybe fear. I turn away, the harbor blurring. My phone buzzes, another notification I can't open. I swipe uselessly, the screen mocking my clumsy hands. Damn technology. It's another wall like the secrets Thane's keeping. The financial strain's real. Mara's slip about loans confirms it, but Thane's hiding more, I'm sure. Did I push them away? The question gnaws, mixing with my rage, and I'm not sure who I'm angrier at, Thane or myself. I walk toward the pier's end, the cold biting my face, loneliness wrapping tight. I'm out here fighting for a legacy I might have lost long ago. Did I push them away? The thought's a hook pulling me toward truths I'm not ready for. I glance back. Thane's stacking traps, Mara watching me, her face a plea. This isn't over, but I need answers, not just shouts. I sit in the Harper living room, the scent of leftover turkey and cloves still clinging to the air like a memory that refuses to fade. The embers in the fireplace crackle low, casting soft shadows against the pine-paneled walls. Thanksgiving is over, the plates washed, the guests gone. Only the silence remains thick, uneasy, and filled with what we haven't yet said. Outside the window, Rockland Harbor reflects the last of the holiday lights, the water dark and glassy beneath a waxing moon. The tide's gentle push echoes faintly through the glass, steady and indifferent. I'm Eldrick Harper, 55. A man more comfortable with salt on his skin than feelings in a room. I've spent my life out there on boats in storms beneath skies that didn't ask questions. But now I'm here with questions I can't outrun. In my pocket rests a folded letter, Lyora's will. Her words still burn, naming Thane, my nephew, as the heir to the family business. My blood ran hot when I read it. It still does. Thane and I fought this morning, harsh and loud, out by the dock. Words thrown like nets cast too wide, cutting tangled. Now, hours later, the bruise in my chest isn't just from anger. It's from history. From love, twisted by time. Mara, 25, kneels by the coffee table in front of me. Her long hair is pulled back, her eyes rimmed red but clear. She's the bridge between us, between the old men at odds and the woman who tried to hold us together. She holds a note now smaller than the one in my pocket, folded soft around the edges. She looks at me, then over at Thane, who stands by the window with his arms crossed and his jaw tight. Uncle Eldrick. Dad. She begins, her voice trembling but firm. We need to talk. I mean, really talk. Her fingers unfold the note, and the familiar curve of Leora's handwriting catches my eye. I lean forward before I realize I've moved. The air shifts. Mara lays the note between us like a peace offering. "She wrote this for both of you," she says quietly. "Grandma wanted you to understand." The clock ticks above the mantel. The harbor bell tolls faintly outside. Something old stirs in me, grief maybe, or guilt, or the faint, stubborn flicker of hope. I pick up the note, my calloused fingers brushing words that feel like they've come from beyond the grave. "My boys," it reads, "the business was never about choosing one of you. It was about keeping us whole." That line hits like a cold wave. I swallow hard, my throat thick with things I've never been good at saying. I look across the room toward Thane. He doesn't move, but his eyes are on the letter now. Not defiant, not angry, just tired. Just human. "Mara, this won't fix anything," he mutters, but his voice has lost its sharp edge. "Maybe it's not meant to fix everything," I say quietly. "Maybe it's just meant to start something." Mara nods, blinking back tears. "Your brothers. You've both lost her. Don't lose each other too." The room stills. Not with tension, but with weight. The kind of silence that asks for truth. I let the words hang in the air, feeling the loneliness that's followed me from boat to boat, from season to season. And I wonder, did Ma see this coming? Did she know that Thane and I, so different, and yet carved from the same stone, would end up like this? Mara eases onto the couch beside me, her shoulder pressing against mine. "Promise you'll talk tomorrow," she says, no longer asking, just insisting with quiet love. Thane hesitates, then nods. "Fine," he says. He meets my eyes. Not with warmth, but with something else, recognition maybe. A shared weariness. We've both been carrying too much too long. The fire cracks again, sending a trail of sparks up the chimney. For a moment, the room feels like it once did before Ma got sick, before letters and loans and buried grudges, before we forgot how to be a family. I reach for my phone, clumsy as always. Mara showed me how to use the video calling app last week. I still can't figure the damn thing out. My fingers fumble the icons, too small, the screen too bright. She laughs softly, that same gentle laugh she used to calm her grandmother. "You'll get it, Uncle Eldrick," she says, guiding my hand with hers. I nod, too moved to speak. Outside, the harbor bell tolls once more. A low, solemn sound, as if the coast itself is keeping time for us. I fold the note, tucking it beside the legal letter. One weighed down by finality, the other lifted by intention. They both carry her voice. They both carry her love. Thane steps away from the window and sinks into the armchair across from me. Mara pours coffee from the thermos she brought, her hands steady now. The silence lingers, but it's no longer empty. It's a pause. A breath. A beginning. "We haven't fixed anything yet. The inheritance, the loans, the anger. It all still waits in the wings. But for the first time in a long while, I believe something might shift. Tomorrow, I say aloud, more to myself than anyone. Tomorrow, we try." The fire burns low, casting gold across Mara's face, across Thane's worn expression. I sit back and let the warmth in, holding on to Ma's words, letting them anchor me like a well-tied line. Tomorrow, we try. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. I move through the crowd at the Rockland Lobster Festival, the crisp November air, thick with the scent of sea salt wood smoke and fresh lobster boiled in massive pots. Strings of white holiday lights zigzag across the harbor, their glow mirrored on the black water below, rippling with every gentle tide. Around me, families laugh, couples sway to fiddle tunes near the bonfire, and children chase each other past lobster traps, decked in garland. It's Thanksgiving weekend, 2024. But the joy around me feels like a play I've wandered into without a script. My name is Eldrick Harper. I'm 55, a fisherman born and tethered to this coast. Tonight, though, I feel adrift. A letter arrived from Leora earlier this week, brief, almost cold, naming Thane as heir to the family business. Then came Mara's message last night. Handwritten. A plea for unity, for peace. Her words carried weight I couldn't define. Now I can't stop questioning why now, and why silence from Thane, my own nephew, since the news. He's back at the house, but Mara is here. She always knows more than she lets on. I spot her by the bonfire, her face flickering with orange light, talking quietly to a vendor selling knit hats. Her hair's pinned back like her mother used to wear it, and she's cradling a paper cup of cider like it's armor. For a second, I hesitate. Then my boots crunch across the gravel path, pushing me forward through the haze of smoke and sound. The chatter fades behind me. Mara, I say, steady, but quiet. She turns fast, her eyes wide. Uncle Eldrick? She replies, a smile flashing too quick to be real. The cider sloshes in her hand as her grip shifts. She knows. I take another step, letting the bonfire's heat warm one side of my face. We need to talk, I murmur low enough for only her to hear. About the business, the loans. Her gaze drops. For a moment, all I see is the girl from years ago, 10 years old, begging me to stay for a family meeting. I skipped for a late run on the boat. Please, Uncle Eldrick, she'd said back then. And I'd gone anyway. I wonder now if that night changed everything. Mara bites her lip. This isn't really the place. You reached out, I remind her. So here I am? She looks around, then back at the fire. Her shoulders fall. It was me, she says. I blink. What? She doesn't look at me. I was the one who told Grandma and Grandpa to give the business to Dad. Not Thane. Me. The world tilts for a second. I hear the music, the laughter, the distant gulls, but it's all background noise now. I take a half step back. You? She nods, barely. You were gone, Uncle Eldrick. Always out on the water. Dad was drowning. The books were a mess and no one was talking about it. I told them he needed the business, needed it to survive. You weren't there. The words hit harder than I expect. Not because they're cruel, but because they're true. I wasn't there. Not when the debt crept in. Not when the cracks widened. I thought I was providing by staying on the sea, keeping my distance until it was safe to return. But safety never came. You could have told me, I say, my voice hoarse. You let me think Thane pushed them. I thought it would protect you, she says softly. Her eyes are red now, reflecting the firelight like polished glass. I didn't want you to feel abandoned. The word lands like a stone. Abandoned. I turn slightly, looking toward the harbor. The tides shifted, pulling the reflections out into darker water. I've been alone for so long I mistook isolation for stability. And now I stand here blindsided while Mara, this girl who once held my hand on the docks, admits to upending the life I thought was mine to reclaim. She reaches for my arm. I flinch. Uncle Eldrick, I'm sorry, she whispers. I really believed I was doing the right thing. But the silence that follows is louder than her apology. I don't know how to forgive something that was done with good intent, but still felt like a betrayal. I shake my head, breath misting in the cold air. You chose him. You shut me out. I didn't mean to, but you did. The music swells again in the background, someone playing a cheerful reel on the fiddle, completely unaware that a man's world has just cracked wide open a few feet from the cider stand. I feel foolish. Ancient. Like the last man in a family photograph, edges frayed, color faded. Without another word, I turn toward the docks. My phone buzzes in my pocket, but I don't check it. I can't. My hands are numb, and the screen is just one more thing that blurs. I walk on boots, echoing against the damp boards, Mara's voice trailing behind me. Uncle Eldrick, please don't walk away. But I do. The bonfire shrinks in the distance. The crowd swallows her voice. And I am alone again, like I've always been, only now I know exactly who chose to leave me out of the light. I stand alone on the edge of Rockland's harbor as dawn breaks over Thanksgiving weekend 2024. The wind slices through my coat, cold and sharp, like a reminder that some things can't be warmed not by holiday lights, not by time. The sea churns, slate gray and angry, mirroring the unrest inside me. Along the distant shoreline, strands of festive bulbs blink against the gloom, their cheerfulness indifferent to the hollow pit in my chest. My name is Eldrick Harper. I'm 55 years old, a fisherman by trade, but what I've truly lost can't be mended with rope or net. Last night, Mara looked me in the eye and said she had lobbied for Thane to inherit the business. Her words were calm, measured, devastating. I felt the world shift beneath me, the last thread of trust snapping like a frozen line in high tide. And now even Leora's letter, meant to be a gesture of peace, feels tainted, almost cruel. Its promise of unity sits crumpled in my pocket, heavy with betrayal. The harbor is nearly deserted this early. A single gull wheels above its cry, sharp and distant. From the town's center, the faint echo of a Thanksgiving parade reaches me. Marching bands, laughter, the rhythmic pulse of drums. Families. Joy. It only sharpens my exile. I pull out an old, worn family photo from my wallet, Ma and Pa in the middle Thane, and I flanking them like bookends from a happier chapter. Their smiles are faded, but full of life. My throat tightens. My fingers trace my father's weathered face. I can almost hear him clear as the sea breeze. Stay with the business, son. It was years ago, just before I left for another long stint offshore. I'd laughed, clapped him on the back, told him the ocean was in my blood. But I see now I hadn't just chosen the sea. I'd rejected him, rejected all of them. I thought I'd return, and they'd still be waiting. I never imagined they'd stop. Mara said it plainly. You were gone, not said in anger, said as fact. That's what cuts deepest. Not the choice to pass the business to Thane. Not the loans she hinted at, not even Thane's silence. It's the fact that somewhere along the way they stopped considering me part of the family's future. The realization crashes over me, icy, bitter, unrelenting. I wasn't just overlooked. I was erased. I drop to my knees on the icy dock legs, buckling under the weight of this truth. The photo slips from my grip, landing face down in the snow. Ma's smile peeks out beneath a layer of frost, and I can't hold it in anymore. My breath stutters. Tears spill hot onto my cheeks, only to be stolen by the wind. I sob quietly at first, then louder, letting it echo across the empty waterfront. The drums from the parade pound like a taunt in the distance. Was I ever enough? It's a question I can't seem to bury. Not with work, not with distance, not even with time. For all the years I spent at sea, hauling traps, braving storms, trying to prove something, I was really just running from the ache of not belonging. And now, standing still, it finally catches up. I think of Thane, his pride, his weariness, the dark circles under his eyes the last time I saw him. The business is eating at him, and Mara tried to shield him by making a decision she thought was practical. Maybe she thought I'd understand, but I don't. Not yet. All I feel is the void left behind. My phone vibrates in my coat pocket, jolting me. I fumble with it, fingers stiff from cold, and grief trying to post the photo online, some half-formed instinct to be seen, to be known, to not disappear. The screen freezes. I curse under my breath. Another thing I can't seem to reach. Like them. I stand slowly, every joint protesting the harbor's chill, now buried deep in my bones. The wind tears through me, but I let it. I deserve it. I stare back at the town, at the glow of festival lights, and the faint hum of community knowing I'm on the outside looking in. Mara's face floats in my mind at the festival, blinking back tears. Guilt writ across her features. She didn't want to hurt me. She thought she was doing what was best. Maybe she was. But it doesn't undo the ache. It doesn't patch the rip down the center of me. The question still haunts me louder now, insistent. Was I ever enough? I tuck the photo back into my wallet, brushing the snow from its edges. I can't answer that today. Maybe not tomorrow either. But I'll keep walking. Keep breathing. Keep showing up, because maybe, just maybe, there's still a place for me here. Not in the past, but in whatever's left to build. The parade fades, the harbor calms, and I walk on toward the sound of drums I cannot yet join. I'm standing on the dock in Rockland Harbor again, but it's not 2024. It's 1995. The air is heavy with the scent of salt diesel and fresh lobster, thick like a memory I've never really left. The water slaps rhythmically against the pilings, boats creaking and shifting in the late summer tide. Gulls scream overhead, and the distant echo of laughter drifts from the wharf side. I was 30, then still convinced the sea held all the answers. My name is Eldrick Harper, and back then my hands were already toughened by rope, and tied my soul tethered to the water like a buoy in the surf. Beside me stood Amos, my father, his shoulders square, his jaw tight, his eyes softer than I deserved. He looked older than I remembered, the way time carves quietly into the ones we assume are made of stone. His hand, calloused and familiar, rested on my shoulder, with more weight than I recognized in the moment. "Stay, son," he said quietly. "The business needs you. Thane can't run the docks alone." He didn't raise his voice. There was no ultimatum. Just a plea lined with exhaustion and fear I hadn't seen, then too full of salt and fire and my own stubbornness. I laughed. I actually laughed. I brushed his hand off like it was nothing. My gaze locked on the horizon where the water stretched wide and open and endlessly forgiving. "Fishing's my life, Pa. You've got Thane for the business." Then I turned. My boots dragged across the old dock planks, and I walked away toward the open sea, away from the man who'd asked me for help in the only way he knew how. He didn't stop me, didn't yell, just let out a breath that collapsed his chest. Not in anger, in defeat. That was the day I chose salt over blood. And I didn't look back. But now in 2024 I'm back. Not on the dock, but in the Harper attic. The scent of cedar dust and age clings to the rafters. Thanksgiving weekend paints the Maine sky in low, brittle gray. My knees creak like the floorboards as I sit beside a rusted milk crate. In my hand is a photo from that same dock, Pa and Ma smiling, Thane awkwardly holding a lobster trap between us, like a peace offering I never accepted. The edges of the picture are frayed like the edges of everything now. Beside the photo lies a bank letter. Red ink, stark numbers, past due notices, loan defaults, Thane's name. The family business his burden inherited, not by choice, but because I left a void no one else filled. I'd come up here to find some old crab traps. Instead, I found a truth I didn't want. I stand pacing. The attic groans beneath my boots. Every step feels heavier with things unsaid. My fingers trace the letter again, the numbers swimming tens of thousands. Silent debts, silent suffering. And I judging him from afar, blaming him for losing what was never solely his to hold. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Another email, a text. I ignore it. These screens, these damn digital walls, they only remind me how far I drifted. First on the water, then in life. It wasn't just the years that distanced me from my family. It was choice. I remember Mara's tears last night, her voice breaking as she told me she pushed for Thane to carry the business. Not to spite me, to save what was left. She thought I was gone for good. Maybe I was. Maybe I still am. But now I know what that decision cost. Thane's pride. His nights probably sleepless. His marriage maybe frayed. His back bent from carrying the weight I refused. The same weight Pa tried to warn me about. The same weight he wore in his eyes the day I turned away. And now Amos is gone. Ma, too. Their legacy rests on the brother I abandoned while I chased tides that didn't hold me the way I'd hoped. And suddenly, it all feels backward. Like maybe I've been swimming against the current of my own life. I sink back onto the crate, the netting beneath me frayed and knotted. The kind of knots I never learned to undo. Shadows stretch across the attic. Outside the harbor murmurs boats rocking a distant foghorn life, still moving. Down in town, the smell of Thanksgiving lobster stew likely clings to coat sleeves. Leora's probably laughing with someone. Mara's likely setting the table. Thane. He's somewhere probably tired, probably wondering if I'll ever come around. The attic is cold, but not as cold as the silence between us. I look at that photo again. The smiles. The hopes. The young man I was so sure the ocean would give me everything. But the truth is I broke something that day on the dock. Not just trust, not just partnership. I broke the rhythm of family. And now I'm left wondering if I walk down those stairs tonight with this letter in hand, could I start to mend it? Could I say the words Pa waited for? Could I say to Thane I'm sorry? I was wrong. I see you now. The harbor keeps humming. And for the first time in years, I don't feel like walking away. I stand on the dock in Rockland, beneath a sheet of moonlight Thanksgiving weekend 2024. The harbor breathes in its slow rhythm waves, licking the wooden pilings like a lullaby I don't deserve. Stacks of lobster traps gleam silver blue, catching the light like watchful ghosts of work done and years lost. From the town's edge, I hear the faint murmur of the fundraiser glasses clinking a fiddle, drifting through cool air, voices bright with small-town warmth. That warmth doesn't reach me. I'm Eldrick Harper, 55. A man made of salt knots and silence. A fisherman once stronger now, worn thin by the weight of things unsaid. What began as an ordinary November has unraveled into confessions, letters, and regrets too large to hold in one chest. Mara's words at the Harvest Festival still echo in me how she fought for Thane to inherit the business, how she turned the tide against me, while her eyes brimmed with tears I didn't understand. And now Leora's letter, wrinkled and sweat-stained in my coat pocket, burns like a flare. She wrote of loans, debts, truths I had no idea surrounded Thane's struggling operation. I hear footsteps crunching the dock's grit behind me. Turning, I see her Mara small against the vast dark, bundled in a wool coat. Her hands cradling something I recognize instantly, Ma's locket. The gold glint flashes under the moonlight, and with it a memory of her as a child, wild-haired and solemn, clinging to her stories and dreams. Mara. I call out, trying to sound steady. But the cold snaps through my voice like brittle rope. She pauses, maybe uncertain, maybe gathering courage. When she speaks, it's low, raw. Uncle Eldrick, she says, I need to tell you everything. I nod once, stiffly. The dock groans under my boots as she steps closer, her breath visible in the sharp air. Slowly, she opens the locket. Inside, tucked beneath the fragile hinge, is a photo of Amos and Leora, yellowed at the edges, but still vibrant with joy. I stare. I lied, she says. Not just about the loans, about all of it. The business didn't just stumble, it collapsed. And Grandpa Amos, he was sick, Uncle Eldrick. He had cancer. I flinch. That word still hits like a slap even after Ma. He never told me. He didn't tell anyone, just me. I found his hospital records by accident. He made me promise not to say anything. Said you had enough to carry already. But when the business started going under, he couldn't handle the stress. He started forgetting things, making mistakes. And I panicked. I told them to give it to Dad instead. To Thane. I thought I was protecting you. My knees feel weak. I step back instinctively, the dock creaking beneath me like a warning. You were protecting me. From Amos. She nods, tears sliding freely now. From watching him fall apart. From the shame of it. He worshipped you, Uncle Eldrick. He just couldn't face you with that weakness. So he gave it all to Thane. I didn't realize how much it would hurt you. My breath comes shallow. The betrayal I've been chewing for weeks suddenly crumbles into something else grief. I see Amos's hands, broad calloused, lifting a net from the water. I see his voice in my own. And I see Mara no longer a child, but a woman who tried to hold back a tide too big for one heart. I stare at the photo again. My family. Fading, but still here. You should have told me, I say, voice low, cracked with the salt of too many withheld tears. My hand brushes hers as I speak, unsure if I'm seeking comfort or offering it. She steps forward, wordless now, and folds into my arms. Her sob breaks against my coat, and I hold her tightly, letting the years fall between us, letting silence give way to sound. From the town, the fundraiser swells, a fiddle solo, a call for local donations. I think of Thane, his stubbornness, his pride, and the loan Leora mentioned. I think of how close we came to losing everything, without even knowing the shape of what we were fighting. My phone buzzes in my pocket. A notification from the fundraiser, maybe. I try to check it, but my fingers are thick, clumsy. Doesn't matter. This moment, this locket, this hug, this is what matters. Maybe we can't fix the past, but maybe we can carry it together. I look toward the town square, its windows glowing with the kind of light that used to mean home. I don't know what will happen with Thane's business, or the loan, or even this fractured family of ours. But for the first time in weeks, I feel something anchoring me again. Not guilt, not bitterness. Empathy. Connection. And in Mara's trembling shoulders I find a sliver of hope. Not forgiveness, not yet, but something close enough to begin. We turn toward the lights, toward what's next. The harbor hums behind us, waves steady like a heartbeat, trying to return to calm. The morning light slices through the slats of the Harper boathouse, laying long bars of gold across the warped floorboards like prison stripes. Dust floats in the beams caught mid-air. Outside the harbor, murmurs waves slapping against wooden pilings, with a rhythm as steady and tired as my own heartbeat. It's Thanksgiving weekend, 2024, in Rockland, Maine, and the air tastes of brine rust and old rope, the scent of tradition, of generational labor, the scent of mistakes. Tools clatter on the workbench behind me as I shift my weight, the familiar weight of the boathouse groaning in response. I'm Eldrick Harper, 55 years old, and I've returned to the only place that ever felt honest, the water. But even here, truth cuts deep. Mara's voice still echoes in my ears from 2 days ago on the dock. Her confession raw, how she'd shielded Amos's illness from me, how she begged Thane not to tell me about the business's collapse. She held the pieces together while we drifted apart. And now here we are. Thane and I, two sons of a legacy neither of us fully understood. He's across from me, leaning against the workbench, like it's the only thing holding him upright. His face, sharper now, thinned by stress and guilt, holds no trace of the confident younger brother I once knew. He clutches the ledger to his chest like a wound he's tried too long to hide. I can hear the town's Thanksgiving market in the distance, vendors calling out, children laughing, the smell of kettle corn floating in from the open dock door. But inside this wooden shell, it's quiet. Just the two of us surrounded by salt and silence and the weight of what we've failed to say. Show me, I say, finally, my voice barely above the hum of the tide. Thane's eyes lift to mine, uncertain. Then, without a word, he opens the ledger and lays it flat between us. The pages curl like old netting left too long in the sun. Red ink bleeds across the columns, missed payments overdue, accounts deferred maintenance, final warnings. Each number is a blow. Each one feels like a nail in something our father built. Why didn't you tell me? I ask, more hurt than angry now. My hand rests on the edge of the bench, gripping it until splinters pierce the skin. To protect our name, Thane mutters the words catching in his throat. Pa built this dock, this boat, this business. I thought, if I could hold on long enough, fix it without help, maybe I could keep it alive. I stare at him, the words hitting me harder than I expect. He didn't want to be the hero. He just didn't want to be the one who let go. I was out there, I say quieter now, out on the water thinking I was the only one holding up anything real. But you were here, weren't you? Carrying everything. Thane shuts the ledger with a thud, dust rising between us. You left, he says, voice sharp. Fishing, chasing your own life while I sat in that office day after day watching it fall apart. He's right. I did leave. I remember Pa's voice. Stay, son, and how I laughed, thinking he was being sentimental. I didn't see what he was really asking. I walked away from something breaking. I didn't know, I say, finally. About the cancer, about the loans, about any of it. Thane nods once the tension in his shoulders beginning to sag. Mara told you, he asks, though it's not really a question. I nod. We both failed them, I say, and he doesn't argue. Outside, the market carries on. A vendor hawks fresh pies. Somewhere a child squeals with laughter. But in here, something quieter shifts. I take a step forward and put my hand on Thane's shoulder. He stiffens for a second, then doesn't pull away. We stand there in silence, the past crackling between us like an old wire shorting out. And I realize this isn't about blame anymore. It's about repair. My phone buzzes in my pocket. I pull it out. Mara's fundraiser post has gone live. I finally shared it. The act felt clumsy like everything else I do online, but maybe it's a beginning. I still struggle with technology, with how fast the world moves. But this This is a bridge, not a wall. The financials are brutal. The truth's been laid bare. But for the first time in a long time, we're facing it together. Mara's fundraiser, the town's support. There's a lifeline forming thin as thread, but real. I look at Thane again. His shoulders are bowed, but there's a steadiness to them now. Not collapse, just exhaustion. We're not saved. Not yet. But we're not alone either. The ledger may still scream in red, but something quieter is beginning to speak underneath it. We're brothers. And if we rebuild this thing, it won't be out of duty or debt. It'll be because we finally see each other. Maybe that's enough. Maybe it has to be. I sit in the Harper attic, where dawn crawls shyly through a cracked pane, casting pale gold across the dust-laced floorboards. Thanksgiving weekend, 2024. Rockland, Maine. Outside the harbor stirs to life its familiar rhythm of gull cries, and lapping tide hums like a memory just out of reach. Inside, though, it's quieter than I've ever known. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that presses against your ribs and makes you reckon with things you've spent decades casting aside like undersized catch. An old fishing net slumps in the corner, its strands coiled and broken like thoughts I've refused to untangle. Next to it lies the letter from Leora, the one that named Thane as the heir to the business. It's been joined now by Mara's silver locket tarnished at the clasp, and Thane's ledger smudged at the corners. Symbols, all of them. Not just of choices, but of sacrifices. Of truths I didn't bother to ask about. I am Eldrick Harper, 55 years old, a fisherman by trade, but that's always been the easy answer. The harder truth is this: I'm a man who ran from shorelines that needed anchoring. Yesterday cracked something open. Thane, with his voice hoarse and eyes rimmed red, confessed to carrying the weight alone. Mara, equally bruised by the burden revealed how she shielded Amos's illness from me, kept it quiet, so I wouldn't feel responsible, wouldn't try to fix something I'd long abandoned. Their honesty left me gutted, and yet more whole than I've felt in years. I thought their silence had cut me out. But maybe it was me, my absence, that wrote me out of the story. I run my fingers over the fishing net's knots, the twine coarse and unkind. It catches my skin like memory. And suddenly, I'm back 1990. Thanksgiving dinner. Amos's deep laugh vibrating through the beams, Leora slicing pie, her apron smudged with cinnamon. I was 20. Wild. Already half gone in my mind. Mara, still a child, clutched my hand and whispered, "Stay, Eldrick," her voice so small, so certain. I ruffled her hair, promised the sea would be quick, and slammed the door behind me. That was the beginning of a pattern. I kept choosing water over walls, salt over safety. And after a while, they stopped asking me to stay. I mistook their silence for indifference when it was really surrender. They had to build something without me. And so they did. The knots I ignored, they tied together. The storms I dodged, they weathered. All while I told myself I'd return someday and still be welcome, still be needed. But this attic, cold and forgotten, tells me otherwise. My breath hitches. The weight in my chest is no longer anger. It's grief, regret, guilt. I look down at my hands calloused from years at sea, now trembling as if they remember everything they let go of. "I broke us," I whisper, voice splintered. No one answers. Just the wind brushing against the cracked window like a sigh I never gave. I see Amos again, standing on the dock before he got sick, calling out, "Stay, son," and I laughed. Thought I was clever, untouchable. I didn't see the fear in his eyes. I wasn't there when the business nearly collapsed. When Leora sat up all night writing that letter, when Mara pleaded with Thane to keep everything from falling apart, I was off chasing tides, believing I was doing no harm by staying away. But my absence didn't protect them. It exposed them. I thought I'd been cast out, but in truth, I left first. Footsteps creak across the attic floor, soft but deliberate. I turn. Mara stands in the doorway, her frame outlined in the blush of morning. She's older now, but the expression is the same, half hope, half hesitation. "Uncle Eldrick," she says, her voice unsure, as if she's not certain I'll still respond to the title. I nod barely. The fishing net slips from my lap. "I pushed them away, didn't I?" I murmur. It's not really a question. More like a reckoning. Mara crosses the room slowly and sits beside me. Her hand finds mine calloused, meeting soft youth, meeting the worn down. "You did," she says. "But so did we. We didn't tell you about Grandpa. We should have." Her voice doesn't accuse. It bridges. And in that gentle honesty, I feel the first nail pulled from a wall we've all been building between us. We sit in silence, not awkward, but necessary. My phone buzzes in my pocket. A fundraiser alert. Thane's doing. I fumble to open it. Technology still feels like speaking a new dialect, but I manage. A small win. I let out a laugh. It's not bitter for once. Just surprised. I'm catching up, maybe. In my own time. In my own way. There's still a long road. The financial strain, the debts, the public perception of what I was never there to build. But none of that weighs more than this, the admission that I could have done better. That I should have stayed. That I wasn't as forgotten as I claimed. I simply stepped out of frame. I glance toward the window. The sun is rising now, casting amber light over the harbor. It doesn't promise forgiveness, just the possibility of a new day. And for now, that's enough. I'm not at the end. I'm not at redemption. But I am here, sitting beside Mara, owning my part. And for the first time in decades, that feels like a beginning. I stand on the edge of Rockland Harbor, the cold wood of the dock creaking beneath my boots, as dawn spills across the water. It's Thanksgiving weekend, 2024, and the sky is painted in radiant streaks of pink, gold, and lavender. The waves shimmer like brushed metal, catching the first light, as if the sea itself is waking up. Lobster traps sit in tidy stacks beside me, their rope coils beaded with dew. Red and white flags sway gently from the posts, subtle emblems of a community that, for all its hardship, still believes in gathering. The briny tang of the Atlantic wraps around me, sharp and clean, mixing with the distant aromas of brewing coffee and the faint echo of church bells from inland. It smells like renewal, like something ending and something beginning. I'm Eldrick Harper, 55 years old, and this is the first morning in a long time I've felt like I'm not standing on the outside of my own life. The sea and I have always spoken a common language, unpredictable, often unforgiving, but it's the storms inside me that have been harder to navigate. Yesterday, in the dusty attic of the family home, I opened a box of truths that can't be packed away again. Leora's final letter. Mara's inherited locket. Thane's hidden ledger worn from too many nights spent calculating how to save what I left behind. All of it lay bare under the attic's gray light. The silence we carried was heavier than any anchor. But now it's broken. And in the fragments we found something stronger. Thane stands beside me now, the early sun cutting across his face. His coat is old sleeves fraying, but his eyes are clear for the first time in years. He holds one of the traps we used to haul as boys, his fingers wrapped around it with a quiet steadiness. There's weight in his stance, not just financial burden, but pride, too, the kind that comes from surviving, from staying. We'll rebuild, he says, simply, meeting my eyes. Together. A few feet away, Mara stands with the glow of youth and purpose. 25, smart as hell, tougher than most men I've fished with. She holds her tablet like a captain's map, tracking the progress of the fundraiser she started just last week. We're almost there, Uncle Eldrick, she says, tapping the screen. The town's come through. Thousands raised already. There's a spark in her voice, something that lights the air brighter than the sun rising behind us. I hear it, and something in my chest loosens. We're not rebuilding a business. We're rebuilding trust. Thane nods a quiet agreement passing between us. Not everything has been said, not yet, but it doesn't need to be. I see my brother now for who he is, not the man I left behind, not the rival I imagined, but someone who bore the weight of silence without bitterness, someone who chose family over resentment. I reach out and clasp his shoulder. Family first, I say, and this time it doesn't feel like a slogan. It feels like a vow. Mara steps between us, her arms wrapping around both our shoulders. You guys are so awkward, she laughs, shaking her head, but her voice catches slightly, a sign of how much this means. We let her hold us there, the three of us bound by something more solid than blood. Something earned. The fundraiser's success eases the pressure. Mortgages repairs the looming threat of bankruptcy. But it's this moment on the dock that mends us. I didn't just return to haul traps. I returned to belong again. Let's get these fixed, I say, nodding to the stack behind us. Thane lets out a laugh, low familiar. The sound brings back younger days, mornings spent racing to beat the tide. We move to the traps, working side by side. Rope, wood, steel, each motion a kind of penance. Each knot tied a thread between who we were and who we are becoming. Mara, ever the documentarian, films us with her phone, grinning. Fundraiser content, she explains. You guys look kind of heroic. I don't argue. Yesterday, I uploaded my first video, me clumsy with words telling the town our story. The responses poured in. Encouragement, donations, a sense of belonging. Technology, which once felt like a wall I couldn't climb, has become a bridge I'm learning to walk. The sun climbs higher, casting gold onto the water. Boats bob in their slip sculls, wheel overhead, and the harbor hums with life. I glance at Thane, his face focused, but soft, and at Mara capturing us with pride in her eyes. In that instant, I feel it. Hope. Not the kind you whisper to yourself in the dark, but the kind that takes shape, that has form, that smells like sea air and rings like bells on a cold morning. My mind flickers to Amos and Leora, their laughter, their kindness, the way they believed in second chances. I know they'd be smiling now. I can almost hear them. Mara tugs at my sleeve. Come on, Uncle. There's still more traps to prep before the next tide. We bend back to work. Our breath fogs the air. Our hands move with purpose. The harbor, the town, the family, it's all waking up. And we're part of it again. I pause once more, looking at the two people who saved me from myself. Tell your story, I say, half to them, half to whoever might need to hear it. Someone out there's waiting to feel less alone. And here on this dock in Rockland, under a sky baptized by morning, we begin again, not just as a family, but as something stronger, a harbor for each other. I hold Thane and Mara close. Our hug, a beacon in the sunrise over Rockland's harbor. Thanksgiving 2024. Forgiveness healed us, my accusations. Thane's hidden loans. Mara's painful secret about Pa's illness, all laid bare through dialogue, knitting our family tight again. Resilience carried us through heartbreak, teaching me that listening rebuilds what pride tears down. Compassion binds us as love always finds a way. Like caregivers mending bonds, we found hope in truth. Share your family story. Let's heal together.